My name is Brittany. I'm from Alamo Middle School. For the past 3 years, I was a math teacher, and this is going to be my first year teaching a computer class. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Still at Alamo Middle School. So today's session is called Teacher Notebook versus GoodNotes SmackDown. I try to think of something super dramatic. Marco said that this was like super dramatic, but it's think like WWE SmackDown. We're going to learn how you can utilize your iPad in your classroom and replace your journal/document camera. So I know I'm hoping most of us have our iPads. Go ahead and take a minute. If you guys are barely logging on, grab your iPad, grab your stylus, and I think it'll really help to have it with you during the session. Okay, so I'm going to go over the objectives for today's session, just so you have an idea of what we're gonna talk about today. By the end of the session, you all will be able to transform the way you provide instruction to your learners by taking full advantage of having an iPad provided to teachers to improve instruction. So I know a lot of people have iPads, and I know there's some people, and I feel you, who don't touch it, like don't touch the iPad, or you'll use it like here and there, but it's a great resource to use. So I'm hoping today maybe give you some confidence to use that iPad more often. Enhance the abilities to facilitate classroom talk and collaborate group work by not being tied to a document camera behind a desk. Creating your demo virtual interactive notebook using GoodNotes, importing documents or images to your journal, which I'll get into. Learning how to share your virtual interactive notebook with students on Google Classroom, which is super convenient. And connecting iPad via Bluetooth to the new line board using either an Apple TV or Montage. Okay, so those are the objectives for today. Also, I don't see the chat, so if there's any questions, please, and like, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring them. Just let me know, like say, hello, Brittany, I have a question, and just chime in there. Okay, it won't be interrupting. Don't think you're being rude. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Here are some pictures, okay, 5 different images that I want you to just take a minute to look at them and kind of think about what you're noticing, what you see. And I'm going to post a link in the chat to a Padlet. And I'm going to go back to the pictures so you can keep on looking at them. But once you open up the Padlet, it's going to say the following. It says, we've all been there. After taking a look at the pictures I've shown you, go ahead and reflect on what you noticed. What are students doing? What is the teacher doing? And in particular, where is the teacher? Okay, so let me go ahead and post this one to y'all. Okay, so I just posted the Padlet in the chat. Go ahead and open up that link, and let me go back to these pictures. So I'll give y'all maybe like a minute and a half. It's not too serious, guys. Just whatever y'all notice, and then go ahead and share it on the Padlet. Let me open this up over here. So at 9:40, I'll go ahead and minimize the pictures, and then I'll just open up that Padlet so we can see what people are saying. Maybe 9:41. Okay, we got our first response. It says, teacher is up front, not aware of all the situations going on in the classroom. That's a really good one. We have another one. Oh, nice. They're all coming in. Okay. The teacher is located in the front of the room. Meanwhile, students are distracted and not engaged in their learning. Teacher is up in the front. Students are not engaged. Love it. Love it. Look, I'm even going to heart y'all's responses. Wonderful. Beautiful. The teacher is focused on what is happening on their, okay, very good, on their screen, and students are distracted. Okay, so I think we see a pattern here. Teacher not in the power zone, students a bit off task, students are distracted. Awesome. Okay, so even if you think about it, even adults, right? Sometimes when we're in PDs or in our meetings, sometimes our speakers, our administrators, or whoever's speaking is in the front of the room, and you look around, and people, after sitting for a while throughout the day, you get tired, you get distracted, everyone's attention span varies, right? Especially kids. You're working with elementary kiddos, middle school kiddos. The attention span is not that high. So something you can combat that is not being just in the front of the classroom and walking around and being in that power zone, just like one of you guys mentioned. While teachers in the front thinking of preventing instruction while students are not engaged. Awesome. Wonderful way to introduce today's topic. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and minimize that and open this back up. Okay. So again, if you guys are just logging on, if you guys can grab your iPad, power that thing back on, maybe update it if you haven't turned it on all summer, and get it ready to use in a little bit. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. So the application that I'm really going to be talking about today is GoodNotes. All of us have it on our iPads. I believe the district purchased it. I know I had purchased GoodNotes like years ago, but the district made it to where teachers don't have to purchase it. It's already on the iPad. So I'm realistic, and I know everything has its pros and cons. I know everyone's teaching styles are different. So maybe this won't work for you, but maybe it'll work for some of you guys. Okay, so let's go over some of the advantages. A few advantages of switching to a virtual notebook. So I know I taught math, so what I had was a composition notebook, right? A composition notebook for each class where I would go over notes with them, glue our foldables in there and everything. So when I switched to digital, a virtual notebook, I literally did not have a physical copy of a journal. I had a notebook for each class in my iPad, which I'm going to show you guys my iPad right now so y'all can get a better idea of it. So one advantage is better able to monitor students' behavior, classroom talk, collaborative group work, and understanding because I'm not tied to my desk with a document camera and my physical notebook. Right now I have my iPad. I can walk around the room and cast it to my new line board. Able to save those journals forever, right? So those digital journals, I can back them up onto my Google Drive and they're there for life, right? And I can reference them in future years. Able to share virtual notebooks on Google Classroom, which is awesome. Anytime I would finish a unit, I would download it, upload it to Google Classroom, very convenient, and very easy to differentiate for students who might need the teacher's copy of notes versus their own notes. Not tied behind a desk, able to share virtual notebooks with colleagues, and can easily differentiate among classes, which I kind of already talked about, right? So like I said, I'm realistic, right? And there's, some considerations or potential cons or maybe reasons that this might not work for you, right? So there's connectivity. So connectivity is something that is not reliable, right? I know they mentioned that they upgraded like our network, which is amazing, but it doesn't always work, right? So that's just something to consider. It's happened at our school. We had a few power outages. You just have to get creative and go back to the whiteboard, right? But in the grand scheme, right, that doesn't happen often, and 99% of the time I was able to connect perfectly fine to my iPad. Teaching style, right? Everyone's teaching style is different. I highly encourage the use of the iPad because it was free for us, it was provided for us, but everyone's teaching style is different, and that's perfectly fine. Learning curve for the teacher, right? So that's a big one. I think in order to be able to integrate it into your daily use and maybe converting from a physical notebook to a virtual notebook, you have to want to do it, and it has to, match your teaching style. And then also charging your iPad and stylus daily. So even me, right, I would use it every single day. Sometimes I would forget, and for a part of the class I would have to be tied to my charger, right, because I had to charge my iPad. And either way, like my instructions shouldn't just be notes for an hour, right? So it's not like I was tied to my iPad the whole class time, but it's just something to consider, having to charge the device every single day, both the Apple Pencil and the iPad. GoodNotes in action. Okay, so here you're going to see some of my students. I love that literally none of them wanted to show their faces, but there's some kiddos in action with my iPad there. I was teaching small group and using my iPad with my Newline board. Down here, I have a student, my iPad was casted and I had them go up and teach a question, to explain a question to the class. Here's my messy setup on my desk whenever I would take a seat, and this is what it looks like for my interactive notebook to be casted to the Newline board. So the kids were really able to see everything I was writing. I think that's another advantage too. Sometimes with the document camera, it's hard to see with certain colors, and that's another advantage, right? The iPad has endless pen colors, right? So if you like writing in color and color coding, the iPad, it's very easy to do that. You're not having to like switch back and forth between pens or markers. Okay, so that's just GoodNotes happening in my class, my math class last year. Here's some more photos in action. So right here is, again, my iPad casted to my Newline board. I wrote a question. I needed the kids to answer it at their desk in their own regular journal. And then I would call on a student to go up to the board and teach it. And I wasn't tied to my desk, right? I was walking around the room while I was doing that. In the middle here, I wanted to show, these are some anchor charts that I made with my iPad. Our campus has a poster printer, so I was able to print off my anchor charts from my iPad to that printer. Just download it as a PDF and save it to the drive and then print it on that printer. And here is an example of an anchor chart literally on my iPad that I made on my iPad. And this is all for math, but it can literally be done for any subject. I know any subject can use an anchor chart. Any subject could use an interactive notebook, right? So Google Classroom. Anything that I do on my iPad, I would also post on Google Classroom. So there is a beta on the GoodNotes app where you can share the entire journal to Google Classroom. And it's beta still. It's still up in the works. It's not perfect yet, but what does work 100% of the time is sharing it through the app just directly to Google Classroom. Not the entire journal, but either one page or specific pages. The cool thing of this beta, once it is like finalized and officially on the application, is it's live. It's live. So if I'm updating my journal every day, the kids have a live view of my journal. I'm not having to constantly update it or upload it. It's just a live link to my journal, which is really convenient. And I'm hoping, I think I remember reading on Twitter that hopefully by this year it would be kind of finalized, not so much beta anymore, because it's kind of shoddy right now. But yeah, here's an example of my Google Classroom. Let me just go to my Google Classroom. So down here, I had a section on my Google Classroom called Anchor Charts, and this is where I would post my anchor charts, right? And I would keep relevant ones, delete ones that I didn't need on Google Classroom anymore. And anytime we were completing an activity or an assignment and the kids were having a hard time with something, they knew they could go here and find a reference to help them with that assignment. And it was done in my handwriting. Some kiddos don't have the best penmanship, and sometimes they don't even understand what they wrote in their journal, but at least they know they could come to my journal, my anchor charts, and reference them. And the cool thing too about the iPad is I'm a really good artist on the iPad because I can just trace. So yeah, that's the nice thing about that. Come back over here. Okay. So the connections, the wires, oh my. So personally, and I highly encourage it, I was able to get an Apple TV donated to me by DonorsChoose. So at the end of the session, if you guys have questions about DonorsChoose, please ask away. I could totally help you guys with that too. Just let me know in the chat if that's something that that you're interested in. So the Apple TV helps me AirPlay my iPad straight to my Newline board seamlessly. And rarely do I ever have connection issues with my Apple TV. Again, I got it for free, donated to me through DonorsChoose. And again, I can go over that at the end if anyone's interested in that. But the alternative would be using DisplayNote or Montage to connect the iPad, which also works. I did that for a while too before I got my Apple TV donated to me. I got it donated to me last year at the end of the year. So I was still casting using Montage. And it works perfectly fine. Here you could kind of see my setup. I have my Apple TV down here, and it's connected to my new line board. Now, the document camera. So I still have a document camera because sometimes I did want to kind of show them some manipulatives, or I did kind of need to help them, show them how to do a foldable. And I kind of repeat foldables, so it was very rare that I really had to use the document camera, but I had it just in case. And then an HDMI cable. So I have my HDMI cable in case I wanted to share my laptop screen, which was pretty rare. I mainly just used my iPad, but I had it just in case I wanted it. Okay. Okie dokie. So before we get into taking out our own iPads, are there any questions? Because I feel like I talked really fast. Any questions? Are we doing okay?
I do not see any questions on the chat.
Okay, awesome. Well, just let me know. I brought out my iPad, so now I can kind of see if anyone has any questions. But just please feel free to interrupt me, chime in on any questions or concerns, or even if you think of something that might give you a hard time, maybe we can brainstorm together to help you out. Okay, so let me go ahead and show my iPad. Okay. Okay, I just want to be sure you guys can see my iPad.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's my iPad. I have it set up all cute because it motivates me, right? We got to do things that motivate us. So on my iPad, I have all my main applications on the bottom, and the application that I'm going to open is GoodNotes, which is right here. Okay, so once you open up GoodNotes, you're going to see a little plus sign on the top left side of it. That is where you can add things, right, or create things. So there's a bunch of different options, but the main one, or the main two that I'm going to kind of go over is the folder and the notebook, okay? So I'm going to make a folder, and this could be anything, right? So before I get into that, actually, let me show you my real folder that I did for this upcoming school year. So this year's folder, I named it the school year, right, 23-24. And I have two subfolders within that folder. I have my teacher folder and then my classes. So not only can you use your iPad and GoodNotes for teaching or notes or with your interactive notebook, but you can also use it for yourself, right? So I have my teacher folder, I have my planner, I have a notebook for CLC notes, for any meeting notes, and PD notes, right? So for example, and by the way, my planner on Canva, which we have for free, there's digital planners on Canva for free, and you can even tweak them, modify them to whatever fits you. You can upload it to GoodNotes, and you have a custom planner, right? CLC notes, right? We haven't done any this year yet, so I don't have anything there yet. And then for my classes, I don't have my classes yet, so I haven't made a journal for any of my classes yet. But just to kind of show you an idea of how you can maybe organize your things. Let's look at my previous years. My gosh, yeah, I have a bunch of stuff here. And I've kind of learned along the way how I prefer to organize my things. Once we're done with the school year, it's gone, it's archived. I put it away. I put it in the previous year's folder, and I don't want to look at it. So let me go ahead and make a new folder. Let me expand that, sorry about that. So I'm gonna make a new folder, and I'm gonna name it Science. So let's pretend I'm a science teacher. Done, okay? So I have my science folder. Now let's say, now that I have my science folder, I want to make a folder just for me. So meeting notes, or if I have like brainstorming, maybe a place to write down all my passwords, anything like that. I want to make a journal for that, right? So I'm going to click new. Now I'm going to click notebook because I want to add a notebook to my science folder. So I'm going to add a notebook. You can change the cover of your notebook, whatever makes you happy. I'll do blue because whenever I think of science, I think of blue. So we'll do that. And you can title it, right? So let's say I want to title this one. Let's say I want to make a journal for my classes, right? So my first period. So I'll name this first period. Create. Okay. And actually, let me change the view of this. One second, y'all, sorry. There you go. Now y'all can see my entire screen, okay? Okay, so this is what your screen would look like, right, when you open up your journal. Now, when I'm casting to my board, what I do is when I click this little share button, and I actually just press mirror presenter page. So the kids don't see any of this at the top. They only see the white paper or whatever I'm sharing to them. But in this case, I want you guys to see what I'm clicking up here, so that's why I changed it to entire screen. Okay. Okay. So another cool thing is it kind of keeps your previously used journals open unless you close them. So in this case, I'm going to close them. We don't need them. Let me close all these journals. Okay. So I have my first period journal, right? I have my cover. I have my first page of my journal. So I'm thinking, let's pretend, you know, it's already a few weeks into school and I want to put a worksheet, right? I passed out a worksheet to my students and I want to work on that worksheet with them as they're also writing on their actual piece of paper, right? So what I could do, there's a few different ways to do this. There's like the nice way and then there's like the quick way, right? So I can go to Google Drive. Let me go to my drive. And I'm just going to get a random worksheet. I don't have any science worksheets, but let me just get a random one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's say I like this warm-up. And I printed this warm-up, my students have this warm-up, I told my students glue this to your journal, right? Now I need to put this in my journal, so I can screenshot this. I can kind of crop it a little bit, done, save to photos, okay? So now I'm gonna go back to GoodNotes, and I'm gonna go to the little image here that has a little moon, and there's my last image, and there's my warm-up. Now, the kids have this physically glued in their journal, and I have it, quote, glued in my digital journal. Now, my stylus, I can write whatever I'm going to write with the kids. Now, while I'm doing all this, I'm not tied to my desk. I'm able to walk around my classroom. I'm able to help students with the warm-up, kind of facilitate conversation with them, and I'm walking around. Or sometimes I'll even sit in a student desk next to a group or whatever I feel like I need to do. But that's how you can insert a screenshot of an assignment, right? Now, let's say, to me, that's probably the easiest one. Now, on multiple occasions, I would make a copy of an assignment for my students, and I left work on time. I didn't have time to kind of upload a screenshot or go find the assignment again and upload a screenshot. So just being real, what I've done a lot is I'll go to this image button again. Now, if you look, there's a little camera now right here, right? That little camera. If you click the camera, now you're going to see my dining room table, but you can take a picture of a worksheet. So if I had a worksheet, right, let's just pretend. I love that, right? I always forget. So I'm going to take a picture of my pretend worksheet, right? So I took a picture of the worksheet of what I gave to the students. I'm going to use the photo. There you go. and I'll just write on that. And I can show y'all an example. I'm sure I could find y'all an example of that. Let me see. Previous years. This is a real journal from last year. There we go. So look at that. So there you go. I wanted to show them what the journal looked like with the foldable actually glued in there. That's what I did. Let me see here. Probably more toward the end of the year, right? Where I didn't have time to do that, and I just took, look at that, perfect. Yeah. So I didn't have time to find this assignment again and screenshot it and put it in here. So once I passed out the handout to my students, I just took a picture of it and using that little camera, and I just wrote right on top of it, and it works perfectly fine. Either one works. Now, there is another way to input assignments within this journal. I can go to Google Drive again. Now, let's say it's a packet, right? And I want this entire packet uploaded to my journal. What I can do is click these three dots, and I'm going to click Open In, and it's preparing to export. So if you see in those options, oh, I think, okay. If you look in the options, it says Open in GoodNotes. So I'm going to open in GoodNotes. And it's going to ask me if I want to import it to this current document, which I do, I want it in this journal, or if I want it totally separate. Like, let's say I want to write on this, I want it in this folder, but I don't want it in the journal. I could click Import as New Document. Now, it's asking me if I want to import this packet after this page, before this page, or for it to be the last. So I'm going to put after. Import to current document, and there you go. This whole packet is now in my journal, and I can just write right on top of it. Okay, now this works for any class, right? Any subject has worksheets. Any subject, I'm sure, takes notes with their kids. This would work for anyone. Now, I don't want to spend this entire time just talking, right? I try to go fast, that way y'all weren't bored to death listening to me talk for an hour. I wanted to kind of take the time for you guys to mess with your iPad and kind of make your own journal, and or at least start, a few pages. Maybe make your folders, make a journal, maybe organize a folder for your new school year, kind of like I did. Maybe something like this one, and set yourself up for the school year. And then I'll be here if you have any questions or you want any advice on how to kind of set up a folder, if you're having trouble with anything. Just let me know. So before we get into that, into you guys doing your own journals, let me go back to my presentation here. Yeah, so I guess I'll leave it there. I can give you guys maybe 10 minutes to use your iPad, get on there, make a folder, make a couple journals, kind of get started on there, and then just let me know if you have any questions. I'll set a 10-minute timer. There you go. So I started a 10-minute timer. Go ahead and explore your iPad, practice on GoodNotes, and then just let me know if you have any questions and chime in. Oh, yes, let me do that real quick. Don't be shy, guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We can chime back in about 7.5 minutes. Oh, okay. Will you be showing us how to share to our Google Classroom? Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes. I think after after these 6 minutes are up, I will make sure to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Sharing to Google Classroom. And then what program are you using to cast to your computer? So this is something that I bought. I paid for, let me see what the application it is. See here, Mirroring 360. So let me type that in there. Mirroring 360. So Mirroring 360 allows me to cast my iPad to my laptop. I don't have to use it a ton, but it's convenient when I'm doing like PDs like this where I want to share my iPad to the computer. But it could also be really convenient with casting it to the computer and having your computer connected to your new line board. But I did have to pay for it. I also had to have someone in tech come to school and install that program for me because we don't have the ability to download programs to the computer. But it wasn't a problem. I just asked Marco to refer me to who I could ask about that. They came right to the school. They downloaded that program for me, and I had bought the program. And it's really convenient. I can see how maybe like if you don't have the Apple TV and you don't really like Montage, this is a good alternative. Mirroring 360. I can't remember how much I paid for it. To be honest with you, I can't remember. I don't think it was too bad. But it's really convenient. I recommend it. So Montage is an application on the Newline board where you're able to cast your iPad via Montage, joining using a code. So Montage on the Newline board will give you like a join code, and then you would join using your iPad. To be honest, I haven't used it in a while, so if I'm butchering that or if I forgot something or a step to that, please someone chime in if you've used Montage. But that's the gist of it. You join using a code and your iPad, and it's pretty reliable. That's what I used for a long time. First it was DisplayNote, and then they recommended Montage instead of DisplayNote because it was a little bit more reliable. But I highly recommend an Apple TV. And at the end of the session, for those interested, I do want to go over DonorsChoose. That way, if you guys can make a DonorsChoose project, y'all can maybe get an Apple TV for free like I did. I hope that answered your question.
Hello, Ms. Brittany.
Yes.
I have a question. I just got my iPad. So where did you go to make that the folders?
The folders. Okay, awesome. So let me go back to the beginning, right? Is this kind of what you see, the little plus sign?
Yes, but where did you go into?
Do you see the plus sign on your iPad where it says new?
Yes.
Okay, click that, and then you're gonna click folder. It should be the third option down. Were you able to find it?
No.
Let me know if you guys need help. You guys don't be shy.
Because when you tap on that on that little plus sign, right, you said?
So just to make sure you guys can see my screen now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure where we left off. Maybe I had just started talking about how to share to Google Classroom. So on the top left here, you guys can see this little share button. You would click that, and let's say I want to share this specific page to my Google Classroom. I would just put export this page. And normally I choose PDF because it's a little bit prettier and it prints better if I ever choose to print it. So I would click export, and I would just choose Google Classroom. Once you tap Google Classroom, it's just going to ask you what class you want it to be posted in, or classes, and then what topic you want it to be in, and what type of post you want it to be. So normally if I'm posting an anchor chart, I would put it as material because it's not an assignment, it's just a reference material. But yeah, that's how you share it to Google Classroom. That's it. Did anyone have any questions about that, sharing to Google Classroom? Okay, I don't see any questions about it. Again, I'm really sorry, you guys. I sincerely apologize. My Wi-Fi is normally very reliable. I don't know what happened. So let me get out of that. The survey was already posted. Thank you, Marco, for jumping in like that. I'm really sorry. I did want to talk about DonorsChoose. Now, technically, I'm done. My session is done. It's a little bit early. If no one has questions. Now, if you want to learn more about DonorsChoose and how to get free things, like a free Apple TV, you can stay logged on, and I'm going to kind of go over that real quick. I appreciate you guys logging on with me. Again, I'm sorry about my Wi-Fi. I hope this session was helpful. And also, you know how to find me here on Teams. If you're setting up your iPad like at work during your work week, and you're having a hard time, just message me on Teams, and I could Teams you guys, and I can help y'all out. So thank you for completing the survey, y'all. Okay, let me go to DonorsChoose, just so I could show you guys. DonorsChoose. Okay, so this is the website, DonorsChoose. You would just sign in. You sent an email, instant sign-in link. Okay. This is just if you're interested, you guys. If you don't care about the DonorsChoose or getting the free stuff, you can log out. Technically, my session is over, but let me just sign into this real quick for those interested.
Thank you for the information.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, I'm almost done. I just had to. Okay. Here we are. So these are some projects that I have posted here that haven't been funded yet. I got a few donations for this one, for a colored printer, and these other projects haven't been funded. I have had, let me see my funded projects. Completed. There we go. So I got these 3 fully funded. This one is the one that I had done for the Apple TV, and it does take a while to receive. Once it's fully funded, it takes a little while. I don't think I received that until like February, the next semester. But I got all of this for free. I got my Apple TV for free. I got a bunch of like manipulatives for my kids. I got a ton of scissors for my kids, all for free. So once you have your account, it makes you use a non-school email. So don't be surprised when it asks you for that. It's just a personal email address when you sign in. Now from here, there's a bunch of things you can do. And the cool thing about DonorsChoose is it's people who literally log on to the website and they want to donate to you, right? So these are, you know, companies, veteran teachers, people who are just very generous and they want to make donations toward educators. And this is all educators. And you can make a DonorsChoose basically for anything. So once you're here, it'll give you the option to create a project, right? So you're going to create a project. And it's going to ask you what type of project. So you can do a professional development project, which I haven't done yet. I need to try that. I haven't done that yet. But just a standard project, let's say you want, like for example, for me, I'm teaching a new type of class. I'm doing typing. So I can pick maybe a laptop stand for all my Chromebooks or something, right? So I would click standard, let's go. And then it's just going to ask you questions. And honestly, this is the gist of it. You just answer the questions, you choose what type of items you want for the classroom. So let me just see how far I can get in 2 minutes before the session ends. So this is the fun part. This is where you go shopping for your classroom. So you kind of pick what items you want. These are commonly requested items, or you can search what you're looking for. Show additional vendor sites. Here you go. These are all the stores, different vendors. There's Amazon, there's Best Buy. Let's say I want something from Best Buy. Now you literally shop the site. It's super user friendly. I'm not even going to go into it because I promise it's easy. You pick the items that you want. It'll add it to your project. And it's going to ask you some questions. The why part is where it's going to ask you, like, why do you want these items? What are they going to be used for? You're kind of selling the project to donors, telling them why the project is worth funding, basically. And then it just posts, and it sometimes takes a while for them to get funded, but that's about it. It's a great way to get free things for your classroom. Sometimes it takes a while. Back to school time is a great time to post projects because that's when companies are looking into making donations for teachers, and also like the beginning of an actual year. But yeah, that's DonorsChoose. I had to go through that really quick. If you have any questions about DonorsChoose, just message me on Teams, and I can help you with that. But yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, that was all I had to share. Thanks you guys.